Hello, everyone. Kristen and Coach Rona here with snippets to the DEI workshop coming up on November 8th. And here's why you want to stick around. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to talk through. Snippet is kind of like a little snapshot, a little look behind the scenes at what we're going to cover, a peek inside to see what kind of elements we're going to cover in this 2-hour workshop and why you're going to want to be there and get your team signed up. So Rona, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing all right. Today's a good day. I'm here with Kristen live, so I can't complain.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am always just such a fan, and I love the things that you do for the UYB community, both for our team, for our clients, always helping us with some fresh perspectives, some inside kind of viewpoints on how we can handle things better. And I am thrilled to offer this 2-hour workshop to our clients and to the public. It is going to be jam packed with material that's going to be all hands on things they can use in their business right away. So why don't we take them through a little bit of, I want to start with the beginning of what is DEI and then get into what is going to get covered in this 2-hour workshop and why they want to be there and be a part of this live. Don't just do the replay. So that's kind of where I want to go. But can you start us off with what is DEI? A lot of people are still a little uncertain of this term.
That is a really great place to start. Thank you. We're going to break this term down. I think that, we hear a lot about this and that, what in different contexts, what people think DEI is. And we're going to talk about it in terms of a workplace. And it's something that is, it is growing, it's fluid, it's changing, and we as business owners are trying to change with our environment that's around us. So let me just start by saying it's a journey, right? That it's not a all or nothing situation. It's, I'm a DEI practitioner and I myself and still am on a journey with this and learning and changing and growing. And so I just kind of want everybody to come along with me on the journey. So DEI, that stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And sometimes we throw that term around and it just, all those different parts of it kind of get gobbled up. So the diversity. So starting with the diversity is going to be the presence of all of these differences that we have as people in the workplace. We talk about gender, we talk about race and ethnicity. There's a lot of other things. There's probably, we work with a list of like 25 different differences, but we have socioeconomic backgrounds, we have physical abilities, what makes us distinct, veteran status, maybe immigration status, believe it or not, diversity in, do people have kids or married? Those are all things that we have to navigate when we work together and respect, when we are together and just give space and room for that. So that's like the diversity part. Is it enough to just say, I'm going to hire a bunch of diverse people and we're going to be happy and it's going to be great? Not
I
really.
wish it was that easy.
Right. So it is, I think the movement back decades ago started with, hey, let's just hire diverse people, tick, tick, tick. And what happened is that diverse people did come to a workplace and then there was nothing for them there. And so you see leaving, you see this a marginalized population leaving. So then we have to think about the inclusion. So we said we're going to hire diverse people, but let's start with handicap, with physically disabled people. We said we're going to hire them, but we're not going to provide corridors or doorways large enough for wheelchairs to go through. We're not going to provide bathrooms for them to be able to navigate what they're doing, So that's the inclusion part. The inclusion part is ensuring that all these employees that we have made a commitment to, benefiting from their work, we're going to make them make sure that they feel comfortable, that they feel supported, and that's apparent in their physical environment, in the benefits package, in the way we conduct meetings, things, all of those things kind of fall under inclusion. Diversity without inclusion is you're dead, right? Then you see high turnover. So that's the inclusion piece. Equity is a little less cut and dry than the diversity and inclusion, and that's kind of a mentality that informs us on how to ensure these practices are fair, how they're accessible to everybody. I like to use the example in when we think about equity of a plant, right? We have a plant, and I am a new plant mama, so I am just learning about plants. And why do I have to learn so much? Because they're all so different and they all have different needs. Where I was just sticking them all up on my shelf in the same soil, with the same sunlight. But in order for a plant to thrive, we have to understand, right, where it comes from. Is it a tropical plant? Is it a desert plant? Is it an orchid? Do they all require the same soil? Are we going to say, we're going to provide this soil and you're going to deal with it and you're going to thrive? And it doesn't work that way, right? They all need a different amount of water, a different amount of sunlight. So that's kind of right. That's how we would treat people. They all have different backgrounds, different needs, different soil that they require in order to thrive. So that's equipping people not equally, but equitably. That's my long version. I lost some audio.
There we go. I muted myself.
I got you now.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I had accidentally hit mute. I just was saying that we're humans, we're all different. And it's important that we as employers, as team members, recognize it's not like it's like your example of the plants. You can't treat every single one the exact same way. Some people need a little more or less of different things, more sunshine, less water, right? It depends on their backgrounds and different learning styles, so many different elements. And so it's really trying to create that opportunity. So the DEI element is very important to me. It's I really think implementing it really does increase that innovation and that creativity in your team and gives you such a great opportunity. What are some other ways that DEI work is important for a company?
All right, where shall we begin? I think this is a really big question, and it's a really important question. And this answer doesn't really come from my opinion, or anything like that. These are actually wheels that we don't want to invent again. The big companies, the research companies, Harvard Business Review, like this is already a researched area, and they go by data. They go by how how much less of a turnover rate do we have with diverse when we have diversity on our teams, right? And that's already a proven thing. Here on the screen, Kristen has implementing DEI increases innovation and creativity, and that is already a proven fact. I think that one was Scientific American. We get higher revenue and financial performance. We get a more reputable brand. We have employees that are happier and stay longer. We have an increased, now more competitive applicant pool when we're putting in these inclusive recruiting systems, fostering a more positive work culture in general. We talk about performance and being able to maximize performance out of employees. put them in a place that they're happy. Where they're happy and they're going to trust, they're going to perform better. It is just a win-win situation. We're only going up.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, there's so many different elements to what we can do, and I absolutely love getting into some of the employment practices, increasing. I mean, it's such a hiring frenzy out there right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But just so many things. Um, Listen, why don't we share? Well, before we get to what's in the workshop, can you just talk for a quick moment about the different acronyms that people have been using? I mean, there's a lot of acronyms that get thrown around today. Can you kind of just share a couple of those variations with people to give them a sense of those?
Absolutely. And yeah, over the years, companies have come to terms with what works for them. So there isn't a right answer or wrong answer. So we have, we introduced the D for diversity, the E for equity, the I for inclusion. A lot of companies throw in a B. They're, I would say, farther along in the journey. And not only do they have that kind of nailed to the ground, but they also have a goal and a mission to even go one step further in terms of the inclusion and have people feel that they belong. And there's a
Mhm.
little bit of a jump from there to there. The federal government has a executive order that was implemented a couple of years ago, and the federal government did DEIA. They added on accessibility, and this is physical and mental accessibility. And so all of the federal agencies that I work with do DEIA because that accessibility piece is very, very important
Yeah,
in what they do,
yeah.
right? Sometimes there's also the J, which is justice. Some companies are justice minded and have justice goals in there, and they play. Can play with the order to make it a cute acronym. So a lot of the people I work with do JEDI, so they're Jedis. And then some people want to put their letters, their acronyms in order of priority, what they
Mm,
do. And then there's D and I, diversity and inclusion, and they just go
yeah,
baseline with their goals. So
yeah.
we do what
Well,
works best.
so many variations, but listen, it all stems from the same heart, the same desire to create a better atmosphere for society as a whole, and to really start to recognize where we've not had a fair playing field in the past, and how to really create more of an open conversation around that, which is part of what this is. Um, Going back to some of the elements, I know we've got this workshop coming up. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be amazing, 2 full hours packed with goodness. Will you break down a little bit of what can they expect? What are we going to cover? What are they going to I'll get to what will they get out of it, but let's just first start with what are they going to cover? What are you going to cover in this 2 hours?
Right. So workshop meaning hands-on, everybody being able to work on their own things. So it's not going to be a class where you're just getting information fed to you. You're going to bring your company's mission and ideas and goals and try to massage that into a clear DEI statement. And ground zero is a great place to start.
Yeah.
With me, you will get support in a different pair of eyes on it, and then a different pair. I would have a set of questions that, from my lens, what it looks like, and you would have an opportunity to redraft, and I can offer support in that way. A DEI statement should communicate what a company is trying to, what a company is trying to do. So support in creating that statement from ground zero, or if you already have a DEI statement, looking at it and asking the questions, how's it working out for us?
Yeah.
Do we need to make some changes here? What kinds of changes? And then from a DEI statement, we work on an action plan. So this is great to say this is what we want to do, but what are the 3 things that we can do to get started, to actually make the plan? What's the plan? This is what we want to do. What is the plan now, people? So, starting that strategic action planning, and then also touching on, I mean, in the 2 hours, touching on hiring and recruiting, and where you can go to why you would want a more diverse staff, how you would get there, and how to make that application experience more of an experience rather than just send your resume and cover letter in. And we see all of you in that, probably not. So, what other ways can we see candidates past the traditional resume cover letter degree?
Yeah.
And in terms of inclusive marketing, looking at a piece, you will all have an opportunity to bring a piece with you, and for us to look at it with our toolkit and the list of things that we want to go through and say, what does this communicate and who does it communicate this to? Does it match who we're trying to reach? Does it represent who we're trying to reach? Asking those kinds of questions. I'll show you one of the things that I've come across. How much cultural appropriation does it show? It doesn't. We shouldn't have in our marketing a whole bunch of things of what we want to be. It should, also have represent a little bit of what we are, and it can have some goals as well as where we want to
Yeah.
go. But it communicates a lot. So we're going to touch on all of that in 2 hours.
Woohoo! I love it. I love it. Yes, I mean, it's a lot to cover, but listen, I think that, I mean, I've spent a lot of money out there with DEI coaches and putting things together. And one of my goals is to give people an opportunity to get some of these components at a price point that makes sense, to let them scratch the surface, get in, start building, start developing, becoming more aware. Okay, this is what a DEI action plan would have. Oh, these are things that we look for in our marketing or look for in some additional HR tips and such, so that they really arming people with information and actionable steps so that they can move forward and start this pathway. Because it's not just a one and done. But this is the 2 hour workshop. Is my promise to people is, if instead of 3 days, I'm going to put it in one day. Instead of one day, I'm going to put it into like 2-3 hours. So literally, we're putting almost a full day worth of content into just a 2 hour block, and really whittling it down and giving everyone straight to the point. Here's what you're looking at. Here's what you're doing. Here's what to consider. Here are the questions to be asking. And then it might take people some time to unpack some of those elements, but at least I'm excited, Rona, that you're able to arm them with some of this great information like you've been sharing. So highly recommend everybody get signed up for this workshop. It's only $500. It's a great deal, and you'll have access to the replays, but the workbook, the materials that Coach Rona is going to cover, I mean, you would otherwise spend thousands and thousands of dollars having a coach walk you through this stuff. So trust me, I've been there. I've had several different DEI coaches over the years, but Rona, so tell me, or share with us, what are they going to walk away with? What are some of the elements that they're going to be able to feel like they have when they finish the workshop?
Yeah. Good question. So we will have a drafted DEI statement, and I say draft because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 drafts, and that's okay. But just some framework to get started with that. A couple of or a few bullets as far as where to begin on the action planning. It's a lot of times it's where the pain points are, right? Where they want to start first, and prioritizing those things, an idea of how long that's going to take. In terms of the third thing is the inclusive hiring piece, hiring and recruiting is some tools on a storyboard of your current system and where we can kind of fine tune and tweak and change and revamp, maybe how to make it more inclusive. And fourth is a toolkit to have a better lens, a more inclusive lens when you look at a marketing piece. So you now look at it from maybe an accessibility issue lens, and more of your client base, or where your client base wants to be lens.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm very excited for this workshop. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I know that. I know what you bring to the table each and every day. I know what we've been working on for putting this workshop together. The workbook alone will have so many great components. And I got to give you a little shout out here. One of the Facebook users already was popping in there saying Coach Rona is great at explaining all these components. So you're already getting some love from the social media realm out there.
Hey, come and join us.
Love it, love it. So listen, everybody, get signed up for this DEI workshop. Today was just a little insider look, a little snippet as to what you can expect, what we're going to be covering. So get signed up today. Put a comment below. What was your favorite nugget from today? What are you most excited about in the upcoming workshop? We want to know. Rona, thank you for jumping on with us. I know we can keep going for forever, but I always want to keep these short and sweet. And any final nugget or tidbit that you want to add before we wrap up for today?
I would say if you are on the beginning of your journey, middle, or pretty advanced, just come and join us and we will get things figured out.
Awesome. Yes. It's almost easier to start with an empty empty screen to start fresh, start building the right way. But even if you've been working on it for a while, or maybe you feel like it's super duper good on certain parts, I promise you there's always little perspectives you're going to end up with that will cause you to think, do we need to refine it, or is it good as it is? And those are the most valuable things you can do for your business, is always honing that messaging and making sure we're giving our team clarity of what do we stand for and who do we stand with. And so it's just such an important element. So awesome. Well, I will wrap us up for today. And thank you, Rona, for joining us. And I can't wait for the workshop on November 8th. I'm going to tell everybody, get signed up right now. You will not regret it. It's going to be amazing. Awesome. Thank you, Rona. Have a
Thanks,
great
Kristen.
rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.